Hello and welcome to the Elevenses Business Show, where we take time out to reflect on our businesses, the business world, technology, finance, and all things for business success. We are your hosts. My name is Yejide Adeoye of Logic to Create. And today we have some special guests who will be introducing themselves shortly. Ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, I'm Morva. I'm from Marion Accountancy Services.
And hi, I'm Maureen Egbe. I'm the digital confidence coach, helping you simplify your systems so you have time to do what you love to make your money.
So, as I said, we have some special guests today. So we've invited some fathers and businessmen just to celebrate Father's Day coming up. And so, guys, would you like to introduce yourselves, starting with Jermaine?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jermaine Allen. I like to think of myself as an entrepreneur. I run a company called Dream IT LDN, so that's providing IT services to businesses and individuals alike. I also run a YouTube chat show called Jay's Big Chat, where I pick different topics and have discussion with different panels. I'm a father of three. I actually have an 11-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So I've got a 5-year age gap between all of them. That's me.
Thank you, Jermaine.
Hi, my name is Adrian. I am for my daytime job, technical director for a civil engineering company, and my side hustle, if you want to call it that, or my business is a music and entertainment company called Ace of Jacks, which I run with my business partner, who will be introducing himself shortly. I have a son, 14-year-old son, acting like he's 15, but he's 14, and just have the one boy.
Okay. Thank you, Adrian.
Okay, my name is Leeman Robinson. I am a marketing lead at a transport and rail organisation in the daytime, and my real job is partner and head of marketing at Ace of Jacks Entertainment and Media with Ace of Jacks. I am a father of two women, I should say, that going on 30, that know what to do. One is 8 years old and the other one is 5, and she says that she's going to grow up to be the queen, which I don't have a problem with.
Yeah.
Nice.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome. Yes, it's good to have you on board. You're our first guest, by the way.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yes. So let's get started. So today we're going to be talking about, business as we usually do, but we want to talk about it from a different perspective, from the male perspective and the father perspective as well, being a dad and how that works. So we have a few questions to go through with you guys. It would just be good to hear about how you guys juggle fatherhood and business, really. So that's the first question. So how do you juggle fatherhood and business?
Who's going first?
Jump in.
Want some decorum.
Right. So I think it's interesting. Until that question was posed, I've never ever thought about it that way. Because I was always working before I had a son, and I always had a business before I had a son. So to be honest, I don't tend to look at it how I juggle the two. I think the key things is more to do with how we manage our time and how we allocate our time to all things that are important: business, career, living, children. That balance. I think the key thing for me is how I juggle the two is make sure that I manage my time properly and make sure that time allocation is for specifically that allocation, and not allowing it to sort of roll into you're at work longer, so therefore that's eating into your son's time or eating into more of your business development. And I think that's probably, when we end up finished talking about it, the time and the juggling the time is the most difficult thing out of all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leeman?
Who's up next?
Oh, okay. I can only echo what Adrian says, but I'd say also I'm quite lucky. I have a beautiful wife who is very sort of pro my business and pro me. So there's a lot of assistance in terms of when we need to juggle things. For example, if we need to go to events and do certain things. So my wife is very supportive in that factor. But then again, before I met her, I was always in business. I was always doing stuff, and it was always been a factor. So the key thing for me is just managing my time during the day. Spontaneity is not a thing for me. It's like I have to plan the time to be spontaneous, if that makes sense. And I really, when it comes, I want to, you know, really stress this issue. When it comes to time, I do not waste it, and I do not like it being wasted. I don't like incursions into how I've set out the day in my head, if that makes sense. And I would like to plan the flexibility. But with the children, I think again, this is just how you structure your day. You know what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. So just a bit of routine and also just a bit of flexibility, so you're able to manage that. But it's not been a problem, because it's always been a dream to run our own business. So yeah.
Mate?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, do you know what? I think it's pretty much the same. I've got a wife of 7 years, and you know, we've been together actually for 11 years. So kind of my whole journey as a sort of business person have always come with sort of a partner and kids. And I think juggling, do you know what? I think it's kind of trial and error. So you kind of, you're not first, especially when you start, you know, you start out with business, a new business idea. That requires so much time. That requires so much effort. Sometimes even when you're at home, having family time or having kids time, you know, you're still thinking about business. You're still doing business, and it's about, you know, I feel like trial and error and realizing, as you guys said, about time and going, okay, actually, you know, I need to be disciplined with this time and make sure that this time it is for this time. So yeah, if you've got a supporting partner, if you're you know, a solo dad, it is all about time management, sort of organizing, structuring your priorities. Business is business time is business time, you know, kids time is kids time. So yeah.
Can I go back to Leeman? Leeman, you said about you plan your day in your head.
Yeah.
Don't you find that a bit stressful, difficult? Because I always use my diary, otherwise I'm just lost.
Well, in the nature of me having things classified, I have a Rolodex in my head, trust me. So I have nothing written down on paper. Nah, that's a lie. and written down on paper. But if I were to, it's because I am extraordinarily disciplined with my time. So I effectively know what I'm going to be doing through the hours of the day and where I'm going to allocate time. So there, yeah, at times, obviously, I have a calendar. My calendar actually is more for my brother AJ. Actually,
It's for me, really.
Oh,
it's all coming out now.
I plan our time, but at the same time, AJ can call me up at the drop of a hat and say, "We've got a booking. We've got to do this now." So that's when the spontaneity comes into it. But yeah, again, similar to your calendar, I do have a kind of system which allows me to sort of apply the time and sort of resource to the areas that I need to at the time. So it's just not written down. That's you know, there's a level of secrecy, you know.
Yeah. Can I come off the back of that with the calendar? So the calendar thing is, okay, so we're obviously, so Senior Nobleman Leeman has got 2 kids, wife. I have 1 nearly adult kid, no wife, no girlfriend. So effectively, our 2 lifestyles are very different, and they have to be in sync. So we have a certain rule. If I divulge a certain rule, when we have telephone calls, they can't be longer than half an hour.
Yeah. Okay. And that's even if there's a 30-second break in the middle.
It has to be whatever you have to say, you say it in that half an hour, and hanging up.
Okay. Yeah. What does it actually
miscommunication? Oh wow.
Yeah. So be precise in what you got to say. Say it all. Then you have to wait another hour for the next half an hour call if it has to come.
I'm not calling you then.
Yeah, so we have that rule. So the calendar thing is more for in terms of bookings or whatever. So my mind can be like a sieve sometimes in terms of bookings. I know that something's going to happen, but it's in the diary. I don't need to think about it. I just turn up and do what I need to do. That allows us to be creative, allows us to because obviously in what we do, there's an element of unforeseen things that come up. People book you, random things come up. You have to be adaptable to that. I can probably be more adaptable than the senior because of his additional responsibilities. However, what I do can't work without him. So I also need to make sure that my time is in sync with how he works. Like I know, don't ring him at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock because that's story time. He's not gonna pick up the phone. He's gonna see the missed call, but he's not gonna pick it up. So we might have a phone call at 11 o'clock, right? Or 12 o'clock, or 1 o'clock, or whatever. So we probably have about 4 conversations a day, but they're not longer than half an hour. Yeah. And that's how we manage our time, and that's how we manage to fit in all the other stuff that we need to. I mean, even Leeman's got a space in my diary for my potential wife that doesn't exist yet. So it's those sorts of things that we do together, because what I do affects him and what he does affects me. Yeah. That comes down to, I know the themes about fatherhood and whatever, but it's key with the fatherhood because, to be honest, that comes first before the business. Yeah. We know that's the rule. That is so. Anything else beyond that's secondary to everything else. I mean,
and in essence, the business effectively is the creation of legacy for our children. So effectively, the drive for fatherhood is the business, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jermaine, do you have a diary?
Yes.
Sorry, Edge.
I think working with both Ace and Leeman over the past few years, I know Leeman is very strict with his time. Even when he sent a message, I'm like, and then Ace is like always busy, so he's gonna reply when he can. But yeah, Leeman's diary planning is on point. As soon as he says we've got a meeting, I'm getting an email and it's in my diary, and I'm like, okay. So yeah, no, I respect that, and I think it's important. Obviously, you know, I'm a mom, and my daughter's like, she's at university now, so I find juggling quite difficult because I just have to juggle a lot of stuff as you know, without a husband or a boyfriend or whatever. Do you see what I mean? So I think, and then what you realize is that your children, even when they get to the 20s, are still your children, and they're still learning, and they still need that time. And whatever they come out with, you're like, bro, you're just you've planned your time, you've planned everything, and then they come with something, and then you're like, okay, I need to deal with this first before I can deal with this, or how am I gonna, you know, firefight this a little bit and keep that moving? I keep that moving as well. So I appreciate that. I think it's really hard, and I think having a partner makes it easier, which is great. But yeah, no, juggling is a thing. So well done, guys.
I want to say that I do appreciate the way that you guys work together as well. So that's the understanding the strengths. So then you support each other in that way. And, you know, I'm not a mother, but I know that in my collaborations in work, it is about, well, how can I support, you know, my partner in business to be able to achieve our goals? So the time management, regardless, is always going to be important. And I think the thing that you've raised as well is about communication. So whether it's within your family, your partner, your children, communication and time management. Number one, it's the key.
100%.
All right.
Okay, cool. So the next question is, what pressures would you say fathers in business face, in your opinion?
Oh.
Jermaine.
It's a hard question for me. I don't look at anything in terms of pressure. Because you either want to do it or you don't do it. You either challenge. What challenges are there? I think the time obviously is a challenge. Probably from a perspective of, like, so my situation is different to seniors. My son lives with me, but I'm not with his mum. So and that's not the normal thing, if you want to say, for black men, that their sons live with them. So my son lives with me now. Part of the time he's half with his mum, half with me. So that whole me being organised is key, imperative, key, especially with my demanding 9-to-5 job, which ends up being sometimes like a 8 to 8 job. Is trying to keep a tab of how that is also influencing on my business as well. And also, you know, you may have a routine where, you know, your son comes on this day, that day. But, you know, he's a great boy, but sometimes he has mishaps. And sometimes he might lose an oyster, or sometimes he might be doing something that will mess up my whole time management. So there's always unforeseen. He's the variable in my life, and I have to allow him to be that variable because he's growing up and learning his own things. So I think the difficult thing is also me being quite disciplined with my time and him not being as disciplined with his time, and he's learning it. That is making sure he understands the impact of what he's doing on what we're trying to build as a legacy, or even understanding that, for example, when he does his stuff, Uncle Leeman's going to send out a post for his radio show, and you haven't sent him his stuff. That actually, Uncle Leeman wants to spend time with his daughter, and you're messing up his thing. So it's more of making your kids accountable to the whole thing, because they're part of the jigsaw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jermaine?
Yeah, I think it's definitely when you've got your plans set in place. I guess some pressures could be trying to make I guess fatherhood work and trying to make your kids as happy as they can be. I mean, your kids always want your time, you know. They always want your time, and you know, for instance, my situation, as much as they love their mom, and as much as they spend a lot of time with them, with her, I'm the one that's working, I'm the one that's going out every day and coming back, you know, so they see me the least. So some of the pressures can be, although I schedule sort of family time and you know, schedule business time, some of the pressures can actually be noticing and knowing that your kids require a little bit more time than you can give sometimes, you know, especially if you're working on a particular project, you know, and as you said, it's like if you have a 9 to 5, but it ends up being a sort of 8 to 8, you know, and knowing, oh gosh, like your son, for instance, he has a particular something happened at school, or an extra out of school activity that you're meant to be taking him to, and so forth, and the pressure to make sure that you're keeping certain appointments with him, you know. But then at work you've got that pressure of, oh my gosh, I've got to finish this project, you know, before this certain day. So yeah, I've come across definitely some pressures when it comes to sort of you know, keeping to as much, you know, as much as you can be organized, but like keeping promises and things that you've got to do. So yeah, I mean, as we say, it's definitely about learning and definitely about figuring things out, kind of figuring things out. But obviously, you know, my boy is 11, and then my other boy is 1. So again, the pressures to do different things with them is on. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Leeman?
Pressures wise, I think there are some pressures that you kind of inflict upon yourself, depending on whether you plan your time or not. But I think, again, similar to both the gentlemen on here, pressures can generally come out to sort of like what's happening in your family life. And also, and another given thing is also business partners or business arrangements. So, for example, with this whole COVID-19 thing going on, we had a number of events that we had planned for this year, and literally all cancelled. The pressures had an impact on our business in terms of the revenue that we get in. So we had to quickly think on our feet, diversify, and think how we're going to recoup this money. So there's the pressures of the unforeseen in the business world, but also the pressures, the unforeseen in the parenthood world. So, for example, there was a time when I came back from Birmingham, went straight into the studio to do a show in my suit and everything. We're doing a show called Pick and Mix. And then as soon as I got home, my daughter was sick, so I had to go to the hospital and take her there, and I was there till 6 in the morning. So this is all coming back from Birmingham, a whole day conference, straight into the studio, straight back home. Oh, then I got to go to hospital till 6 in the morning. So those sort of pressures that's pressure, if that makes sense. But it's kind of like one of the things you just have to deal with. So it's more, pressure is not a thing that I kind of like say, oh, what exactly are the pressures? You kind of just deal with them as they come along, but they will always be there.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask, how good do you think you are with dealing with pressure?
Oh, who's going?
You know what? I think, how can I put this? When it comes to my real job, which is AC Jacks, that's not a problem. The people that I deal with on the other side of that, they give me pressure because I just want to hurt them. But they give me pressure sometimes, and it's like, because I feel this is unnecessary, and I think what it does is it annoys me to the point where I pressure myself, like, what am I going to do about the situation? But yeah, I think generally speaking, when anything comes up in business, I don't feel under pressure. I just feel like, right, what's the strategy? How we're going to work our way? How we're going to get through this? How we're going to get around it? How we're going to get over it?
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes more with the sort of family life, there's an emotional side to it. So say if my daughter's really sick or something, you might not handle it as well as you could do, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, everyone external, I'm just like, whatever. My pressure is I just don't want to hurt no one, innit?
Pressures, it's weirdly, I like pressure, or I kind of work better under pressure. I like in the construction industry when, you know, a little mistake can kill somebody or cost a lot of money. You have to be able to learn to deal with pressure. But putting simple things in, I'm quite black and white when it comes to nearly everything, to be honest. And I deal with pressure by having things in place. I think I get more pressured when I'm disorganized, or when I haven't, you know, there's always unforeseen, and we spoke about unforeseen situations, but pressure in the business perspective, I don't really find it as pressure, because our business is something that we enjoy doing. I think when you're in a business and it's just a business and it's something that churns money, it's your revenue rather than a passion. You know, I don't see, you know, like even on what we're doing now, I don't see this as pressure. You know, we met you guys through business, if you might as well say that, but that wasn't pressure having a conversation with you or whatever. So I don't see our business as pressure, and maybe because we've kind of got a fallback plan, because we've got our 9-to-5 jobs. I think if it was our main sole income, maybe we might look at it differently. But because we have the other side hustles, or the other, you know, the main revenue, or whatever you want to call it, we tend to get pressure from that side of things, because you've got a slave master who's trying to push you down a certain route, and he's trying to eat into your time. And you want to put your resources into maybe your kids and your fun times and your business, and your 9-to-5 job is trying to eat into that time, and you're still getting the same money. So I think the pressures that I get personally is mainly from my 9-to-5 job, of which I have to try and manage it. I've actually put fake meetings in my diary so that no one talks to me. Do you know what I mean? So like those days where I know my son's going to be home early from school, I've got a £2 million client that I need to go and meet. That I go and meet, but I'm going home. So you know what I mean? So
you know this is going live, right?
yeah, post it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think, you know, I've always been good under pressure, and I think that's because I like figuring things out. As you guys said, you know, it is about having a strategy and looking at a situation and going, okay, how can I resolve this issue? And you know, I think for me, the way that I deal with pressure as well is having the right people around me as well. Family is definitely key for that. You know, I've got particular members of my family that if I'm going through certain pressures, I know who to contact and so forth. So yeah, I've got friends, you know, again, that I can just hit up and be like, listen, this is a situation. And sometimes it just takes another sort of person to say, oh, well, actually, have you tried this? Or what about this? Or that's not a big deal, you know, and then you realize, oh, actually that pressure really isn't there. It's just in your head sometimes. So yeah, I think speaking to individuals who you know, who have your best interest in heart can definitely relieve that sort of pressure coming from the business world, and even from, you know, being the parent as well. Of course, there's definitely pressures there. So yeah, having the right people, I say, is key.
Okay. So that nicely brings us on to the next question. And I think all of you have mentioned that you have double life in terms of that you've got a day job as well as a business. So as fathers in business, have you had to make any sacrifices either in your personal or in your business life?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I could be a sort of millionaire by now if we went for the kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God, honesty.
No comment. No comment.
Yeah.
No comment.
Oh, yeah, sacrifices, mate. They need to be grateful forever today.
Amen. Amen. Yeah.
I definitely sacrificed my life for them. You know, but I mean, in return, I've also sacrificed their time for business also. So, you know, everything was a choice. Having kids for me was a choice. Starting a business was a choice. So I knew there have to be sacrifices. If I want to be a good dad, I've got to sacrifice business. But also, if I want to be a good businessman, I need to sacrifice some family time. So it's finding again that balance and finding what you can sacrifice. There's certain things in the family life that you can't sacrifice. You know, oh, do you know what? The business got to take a hit for this one. But in return, it's the same for business. There's certain things that you got to explain to the family. Listen, this is, you know, this has to be done in business today. So unfortunately, can't do this and so forth. So yeah, sacrifices are there. It's just about when you take them and so forth. So yeah.
Okay, Leeman.
Yeah. I kind of agree with what Jermaine was saying. It's kind of there's sacrifices on both sides, and I don't want to sound, you know, bad, but yeah, if the business thing, we want some next level, but
yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I want to spend the time with my family. But I think what it comes down to is like striking a bit of a balance between the two, because you kind of, if I was that way or inclined, it was all about the business, I don't think I'd be grounded enough. If we were really successful, I'd be maybe quite arrogant, maybe not thinking about what, you know, appreciative of what I got. I'm not saying that that's everyone, but I think that kind of focus is great, but at the same time, it can leave you isolated if you're not careful. But then at the same time, if I just come home, go to work, and I'm just all like, yeah, I'm in the family and everything, and I've got nothing of my own drive, it kind of makes me feel maybe a bit, you might resent that in future, thinking, oh gosh, I should have done this. So I think you're going to find there's going to be a sacrifice on both sides of the aisle. So yeah. I don't know. I don't think I've had to sacrifice anything too much, but you know, and there's always a good communication between the wife and the children to say, I need to do this in order to do that. But obviously, I ain't missing no birthdays. I ain't missing no anniversaries. And you have to remember, I live with 3 women, so I like my life. You feel me?
Okay, Miss Adrian.
Am I going to word this without being diplomatically? They don't take it seriously as maybe the gentlemen on this phone calls do. So they can afford to sacrifice their times with their kids because they don't really care about it. Where I would say again, hearing from the gentleman on the phone and knowing Leeman, that it's up there in the top one, if anything, or the top 2. But sacrifice, I think I've sacrificed maybe potential relationships with women because I know that they won't fit into my entrepreneur style of living, and also what the needs of my son needs are. Yeah. So that's what I would say, sacrifices.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And I think, you know, as a parent, like my daughter, she's been analyzing me a lot and telling me a lot about what I'm sacrificing. She's like, you don't sleep, you don't rest, you don't do this, you know, your well-being, blah, blah. She literally just like told me a couple of days ago that I must like put in some care time, me time, whatever. Like she's always chilling and she loves life. Like she proper enjoys life, which is great. So I'm like workaholic. She's like, oh mom, you need to just relax, and even when you make this money, like at least spend some of it on yourself. And I'm like, girl, I'm trying to like make money for you, your grandkids, and so on and so forth. Do you see what I mean? These are the sacrifices. She's like, yeah, but mom, like really, you need to get some new clothes, or you need to at least buy some different pair of trainers or something. Yeah, and relationships wise, that's just that's whatever it is what it is. But I guess after a while you need to start understanding, like what Jermaine said and Leeman and Ace as well, is that what things are you willing to sacrifice? Because at the end of the day, when you get like money in the bank and you got how much in there and you haven't got a relationship with somebody or even with your children, because that's the main thing, right? Like, I'm always working. That relationship is gonna slowly die out and they won't be coming to you anymore. You see what I mean? So that's something I've always said, like if she needs to talk to me, I'll be like, all right, give me a minute, or actually let me just hold that and let me talk to her right now. And it's not even just her, like nieces and nephews, and they all understand about the entrepreneurial spirit or whatever, and come to me for advice and stuff like that. And I think that's the most important thing we all know, is that the communication, the relationships, like Jermaine was saying, the support from your family, those kind of things, they're so important. And I think there was one point where I realized, like, hold on, I haven't seen so-and-so, the children's getting bigger. I haven't spoken to my cousin, my auntie, about this. Do you see what I mean? And then I was like, nah. Let me start putting this, because now I have a family time in my diary. Like every other weekend, it has to be family time. And then every other weekend is studio time or something like that. But, it pops up and I'm thinking, even if I have no plans with anyone, I know that, let me call someone and see what's going on. And then do you see what I mean? But before it's like, work. So.
But yes, you know what? Sometimes you don't even realize what you're sacrificing, because it just comes naturally. Do you know what I mean? Unless you, like, for instance, your daughter says, oh, mom, actually you sacrificed this, and this, sometimes you're just going about, you're in that mode of just doing things and getting stuff done. You know what you need to do in order to get certain things done. And you're right. You do within business and being a parent and so forth, you do sacrifice your sleep, you do sacrifice your own personal time, and things you enjoy doing and so forth. So yeah, you do sacrifice things that, you, to be honest, you don't even think about on a day-to-day, really.
I think even like in this lockdown, or whatever you want to call it, this season has made people think about how they've been managing their time. Like obviously being at home, working from home, that drawer in the kitchen that needed clearing out with the dead batteries in it and the keys that you don't know where to go in it. You hang on, this has been sitting, and you realise, hang on, why has it even got to this state? Yeah. And that's a little bit like with your relationships. How comes I don't phone that cousin that I like? I know I don't like his brother, but I like him. But I haven't phoned him. You know what I mean? I know why I haven't phoned him. So it's this whole thing of, sometimes it takes something drastic to change your thought patterns to a certain extent. And then you look at it and reflect it on, well, why wasn't we doing this before? Even like, with our businesses, like, hang on, there should be some paperwork for that. Or, Leeman, there's an agreement that we, our arrangement, our partner agreement is not actually properly formalized properly. We need to do that. Or the insurance needs to be done, blah, blah, blah. And it's about the time and what we all think is important. Yeah. And, again, I keep saying this and I keep going up, but your 9-to-5 job sometimes dominates that. And it's important to try and get balance. And maybe, after the downturn, where probably more and more people may be starting to work from home, we may be able to get that right balance of how things need to be. Who knows? But out of this, we need to obviously take on board what we can do. My garden was like bloody Amazon, the other day, and managed to tackle it because I'm at home. But, would I have had the time to deal with that, with all this being, and still trying to be an entrepreneur and still trying to take over the world, So it's I think, again, it's the balance thing and working at what is actually important and how much a percentage of your time do you want to give for these certain things? How much time do you want to give to your wife? How much time do you want to, a minimum, to your kids and whatever?
Yeah. And can I just add on to that? I think in terms of sacrifices is to understand the consequences, because at the end of the day, we always say that, oh, okay, I'm doing this because I need to achieve this, but do you actually really understand the consequence of what it is that you're sacrificing, what you're giving up, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. Great, guys. We're going to go about 10 minutes or so, and we have a couple more questions. So here's a question for you guys, and I'll start with Jermaine. So what do you enjoy about being in business?
What do I enjoy? I think it changes. I think sometimes it's the people that I work with, you know. Sometimes it's the actual work itself. So, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be able to work with various different people within the sort of what I do in IT. Get to work with different companies, different people, work with different services. So it's always switches. It's not just the same kind of routine every time. Business can be stressful, but it can also be quite, if you like myself, quite enjoyable. And that's because, you know, you kind of say, this is where I want to be, and you enjoy the journey, you know, to get there. So, yeah, I think the journey for me is definitely something that I like about being in business, you know, reaching those milestones, securing those contracts that you want to, you know, so yeah, definitely journey.
Great, thank you. Adrian?
What do I dream? Funny one. So I became, I don't know if I've told you this story, I became a sole trader at 15. And I became a sole trader because I was earning money DJing, cash in hand, and then somebody wanted to pay into my bank directly. And I was like, okay. Okay.
You can't hide there, can you?
So they messed me up big time. Yeah, messed me up big time. So it was never an intention to basically be a businessman. Effectively, it was more of because people wanted to start paying stuff into my bank account that I had to become. A mum said, you're going to get in trouble if you don't. Blah, 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 blah. So you have to register for self-employed, blah, blah, blah. And then I actually hated business, because you have to do your self-assessment form, you have to keep tabs on certain things, you have to invoice. So the passion, which was obviously playing music, enjoying, was great, and blah, blah, blah. But obviously the serious side of things of working at our taxes and those sorts of things, at the time was not rewarding. Now, obviously now that I know about it, and I know it's now part of parcel what I do. So the enjoyable thing about the business is, our business is how it's evolved since Leeman came on board. How long now, mate? 5, 6, 7 years?
5 years on board.
5 years or more.
Yeah.
And it was how it's evolved from just being, I'm going to a club and playing music or bringing speakers or doing that. It's now actually, the music is more of the side piece to what we do, or the initial thing that someone comes to talk to you about because they enjoy the music, and then we'd have a spin-off to actually, we can help you market what you're doing, or we can invest in your business and that stuff. So I think the thing that I enjoy about it is the people, meeting the people. It's effectively not limited to just music. You know, we accidentally fell into our clothing brand. It was a uniform. When we first started off, it was meant to be a uniform that was filming an event. And then somebody came up to us and said, oh, where do I buy it from? And then we was like, yeah, the shop's coming out in 2 weeks. We had no clue of what we're doing. We flagged it. So as we was in the event, we went on Google, worked out how you set a shop up, blah, blah, blah. You know, got to get a bank account, got to get a PayPal account, this sizing, that sizing, blah, blah, blah. So it was more of that pressure. And we registered the website and put a timer on it. of when it was going to be released. There was no website, there was no product, there was nothing. You know what I mean? And that's the sort of nature of our business, that we kind of are spontaneous in that sense, and we go with it because we apply the same things. You know, Senior basically decided he wants to launch a TV channel when we're overdrafting our overdraft. I'm trying to buy a house, he's trying to buy a house. Like, total wrong time. But it's just a thing of, actually, it's material. It's now here. It's been out, what, 2.5 years. It's those sorts of things of that. We can think it, and it materializes. It's real. I think that just to leave off with it, it's the feedback that you get from people. Like, even being on this call with you lovely guys and talking to you guys and stuff. Had we not had the business, we wouldn't be on this call. We wouldn't be talking to you. So it's more of the spin-offs to, after the stuff comes in the bank, after you do the VAT, after you see the taxman take your money, after you see what happens, it's actually, I enjoyed what I do and did. I enjoyed meeting that person. You know, you guys are, you know, I'll probably talk to you guys and have more love for you guys, and you're gonna have to edit this. There's certain family members that I got. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's that side of things, of meeting people that you would have never met, and you have a connection with them. So that's probably the best thing about the business for me.
I know we run out of time. I would say exactly what he said, and I don't want to keep it lowbrow, but, you know, getting to meet such, you know, interesting and inspiring people is definitely one of the highlights. And I just want to, you know, I don't want to, what comes to it, that we seem to meet a lot of wonderful black women, and, you know, I don't mind being that Cody. I don't mind being there. That's what I'm saying. And it's just like, you know, things like that, if we didn't work towards that, it wouldn't have materialized. So yeah, it's the meeting new people, finding out what they're all about, finding out how we can make sort of synergy. And yeah, just to echo what the Jed said, it's the difference, the variation, and the fact that you're actually working under your own steam, not someone else's dream. So yeah, that's it.
Can I just say one quick thing, please?
Yeah.
To Adrian, I hope you're not saying accounts is boring.
Say again.
Hope you're not saying accounts is boring.
No, did I say that? You're gonna have to edit that out if I said that.
You just don't like doing it.
I'm just clarifying.
No, so you know what? Would you business more?
No. Yeah, maybe he needs a more exciting accountant more for. Maybe like.
Matty. Come on.
He was
an accountant mover.
I think the point I was trying to make, it wasn't our main driver to getting into business.
Okay,
so,
all right.
All right, guys. So final question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to other would-be entrepreneur dads? Leeman.
Me? Oh gosh. But I mean, to be honest, my advice is to pursue something that you really have a passion for and that you really enjoy, so that you don't become. I never think of it as like, oh, I want to make money. That needs to be a byproduct of something that you really enjoy, and also think about how you are going to sort of position this around your current situation. What changes do you need to make in order to set yourself up for an entrepreneurial business? And be aware that it's just not going to be, you know, you hear these stories about, yeah, this person, I had £200 in my pocket, and now I'm multimillionaire. The kind of glitz and glamour is always on display, but be prepared for that's the tip of the iceberg. Be prepared for the stuff that is underneath the surface. So I think we just need to be in the mindset and not always do something that you have a passion for, because then all the hardships and the sort of things that you learn along the way will not be as hard as if you were just, I want to make money. If that makes sense. I've got a bit, but do something that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, definitely. Good advice. Jermaine?
Yeah, I think definitely be self-discipline is key, because it is going to be, you know, it's a good thing to go into business. It's a good thing to have kids, but it can also be the death of you sometimes, either one. So honestly, and I think you know, being honest, it's definitely having self-discipline, and think, Adrian, you mentioned it about not all sort of fathers see the importance of spending time with their kids and having that family time. So I think it's realizing, yeah, listen, your kids are a priority, they're top, and their well-being, you know, comes before business, I say. And then you kind of structure your sort of business around that, because business can fail, and you know, you can pick it back up again in 5 years time, in 2 years time, in 10 years time, whatever it is. But you know, with your kids, every single second, you know, they're impressionable, and as you mentioned as well, you know, they're your kids forever and a day, regardless if they're in their teens or 20s. So yeah, I think definitely having self-discipline for any new you know, fathers that are going into business.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jermaine. Great advice. And Adrian?
Yeah, I would say respect your kids and treat them as young adults, even if maybe they're not young adults yet. For example, along my entrepreneur route, my son has always been there. And, you know, even like going and getting a mortgage, he was there when we got the mortgage. He was there when, you know, when we're doing certain things. Obviously, he's a part of the business as well, which we forgot to mention. He has his own side businesses off of our business. So try and if you can, integrate your kids into your business, or even give them an idea of what you do, to have an appreciation of why you may be sacrificing their time to do what you're doing. They may not be interested in it, you know, they may not be interested in it, but luckily my son has had, you know, and I've tried to, you know, honestly to God, I've actually tried him to stop dealing with music and focus his head in the books, but he has that talent. So if he wants to do the talent, I also show him about the sacrifice of what you need to do for music if you want to take it to another level. So I would say, if you're a father who wants to become an entrepreneur, get the people, your stakeholders, which could be your family, your wife, to buy into it as well, because you're also sacrificing their time to do what you want to do. So I think that would be my advice.
Brilliant. Thank you guys so much. Great advice. And for all you entrepreneur dads or wannabe entrepreneur dads who want to get in touch with these guys, we're going to be putting their details in the description below. So do get in contact with them. They are great guys. We've been, you know, they have great shows. They're always promoting businesses, through their radio shows and their live chats as well. So make sure that you do stay in contact with them, ask them questions, get advice. That's what we're there for as a community and a network. I've benefited a lot from working with all three of you and the ladies as well. And I think, yeah, you know, it's for me, being a parent and being in business, I just want something to pass over. I want something, the legacy, and something to say that, you know, we did this, and it's something that, you know, we can move forward together. We've seen other people doing it. Why can't we? And the more we do things like this, I think the better. So, ladies, would you like to give any final words as well?
Just to say that thank you, young gentlemen, for joining us today. Thank you for being open and frank, giving advice like that. It was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, it's been awesome having you guys on. And you know what? I'm really thankful and grateful that you guys are in my life, because at the end of the day, I think we've talked about, in the sense of having good people around you and great people. I say that you guys are great, because at the end of the day, you're always achieving and striving and talking about the possibilities. And you are great examples to let other entrepreneurial fathers know that actually this is possible, and that you can have a family, and that you can have relationships, and you can make it work. And it's about us all supporting each other. So thank you, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. That's it for today. Like we said, make sure you check out our guest today. The details will be in the description. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop some comments, ask some questions, get involved. You know, let us help you, and you know, maybe you can help us out as well. We're trying to grow here all together. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you at the next installment of Elevenses. Thank you, and have a good day.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.